Welcome to episode 75 of the Two Pad Stack podcast. I'm your host, Ace. Alongside me, my wonderful co-host, as usual, Jake Reiser. Jake, how are you doing, buddy?
It's summer. As you can see, I'm wearing pink if you're watching us or seeing us on social. So enjoying, hopefully, some warm weather. If it can stop raining every weekend, I'm all right, though.
Yeah, last Saturday was a nice Saturday. We didn't actually have rain in Boston, but it's back today. So
tomorrow's supposed to be gorgeous. Thank God.
At least it's back up in New Hampshire. I don't know what about Boston, but yeah, man, things have happened here in Bruins land, and who better to break it down with than my good friend Ian, aka a low quality Bruins fan. Thanks for joining us again, buddy. How are you?
Doing well, Ace. Jake, thank you so much for having me on. You're right, a lot going on, and a new era of Bruins, which is kind of concerning, but also exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, that was kind of my first perception or my first reaction to it too. I mean, you've got a really early draft pick, you've got a whole new brand for the team, you've got a new coach. We're gonna dive into all that today. So it's been about a month since we recorded last. So happy to be back in the chair, and we've got a lot of news to cover. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first subject that we're going to talk about today is going to be the hiring of former Bruin Marco Sturm. And before we dive into this, I want to just give Jake his flowers once again, because approximately 6 months ago, Jake's like, you know who I think would be a great candidate? Marco Sturm. And Jake Stradamus nailed it.
I'm over the moon. I mean, I'm glad I kind of sussed it out, but I think it's a great hire for this team. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and Ian, I know you've probably talked about it on Short Shift and on your videos and everything. You break it down all the time, good in a good way. What was kind of your initial thought? Did you think, because there has been a little trepidation, a little bit of skepticism toward the Bruins' choice of Marco Sturm because of that mentality that, the Bruins are an old boys club. They just hire the people they know. How did you feel about it?
I felt good once I heard him speak about what he wanted to do with the team. I didn't feel bad about the announcement by any means because there weren't very many exciting coaches that they were going to go for. It sounded like they really wanted a guy who had been around the NHL more. So you're taking out a lot of the college coaches that you might have been interested in. And then once he kind of spoke about he loves Lohrei, despite the defensive shortcomings and stuff. He loves Lohrei, wants him on that top pair to start the year. A couple other things from him that just made you go, okay, the guy's been paying attention. He's excited. He's already been doing his research. Yeah, let's see what he can come up with. Next year is going to be a weird year regardless. I don't think you can put it all on the coach. The roster's going to be odd. Let's see what kind of impact he can really have.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. We're going to touch on probably a little less of the roster building stuff today because we have a lot to find out, on Tuesday. I mean, with free agent frenzy that's going to be kicking off, and, we'll be able to break that down on our next episode that we'll be recording live from Dev Camp. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks here still, but I kind of agree. And I think that Bruins fans in general always feel boldly empowered to just shit on any decision that's ever made, regardless, just instantaneously. It's like Don Sweeney goes out and has a heck of a draft. The first comment on the Instagram is fire Sweeney. It's mind boggling. But, I do think that, if Marco Sturm was in Providence this entire time, I think that argument would have it would hold water a little bit more. But it's not like Sturm has been involved in the Bruins system since the Bruins traded him away at the twilight of his career. I mean, he got his coaching started at the German national team, coached that Olympic team to a silver medal. Granted, I know no NHL players were participating. So, but still, I mean, Team Germany is silver medal. That's nothing to kind of scoff at, right? And then he goes and he does his work. He puts his work boots on and gets it done with the LA Kings as a assistant. And then he also was the head coach of the AHL Ontario Reign, the LA affiliate there. So I get the trepidation a little bit, but then on the other hand, I'm he didn't earn his coaching opportunity in the Bruins system. I very much consider him an external coaching candidate.
Absolutely. And I think to that point as well, if you look at some of the prospects that have now graduated to the Kings that Marco Sturm has been able to work with, Quentin Byfield, Sam Hellenius, Akil Thomas, Alex Turcotte, Brand Clark, these guys, granted, that's also incumbent on whoever's drafting the guys. but they turned into quality NHL players under Sturm's tutelage. So I think in this new era that we're going to be focused on, the rebuild, retool, whatever that ends up going to be called, where we're going to have to be really focused on these youngins, I think you've got a great guy in Sturm who's going to be there to nurture the development of the prospects we need to get.
Yeah, and one thing that I thought was kind of peculiar was that, and I think this is just kind of how it works in Boston, for better or for worse, but in my preference, I would have suggested Marco Sturm had the ability to just completely overhaul that coaching staff.
Oh yeah.
And it looks like there's going to be those cockroach type coaches that are just not dying and sticking around forever. Like, we got rid of Joe Sacco. He was here for, basically a mortgage. Like, I'm pretty sure he was on a 30-year fixed rate plan with the Boston Bruins, but finally he's gone. But I mean, Chris Kelly's sticking around. I mean, I don't want goalie Bob Essenza to go anywhere. I think he's probably the best one. Yeah. But like, I would want to give Marco Sturm full autonomy to build out his own staff, and it doesn't look like he's really being given that.
No, yeah, he got the one hire, which I'm blanking on the name.
Steve
Spott.
There you go. But I think, to your point, you look at every facet of the Bruins last year, including goalie Bob's area. None of it was good. None of it was good across the board. So it's really hard to look that whole group in the face and go, all right, we're keeping some of you and others. Like, it should be a clean wash, except for goalie Bob because of his track record.
I will say that I thought goalie Bob, got some good results out of a struggling previously Jonas Korpisalo.
Yes,
and I would agree. I did really like his work there, kind of helping Korpisalo reclaim his NHL career.
Well, he was disgruntled too. Korpisalo, now reports are that through the back half of the season was not happy with how many starts he was getting, especially because of how much Swayman was struggling. I can't really blame him there.
No, I can't blame him either. I mean, and he's a former number one guy, so it really was a difficult thing for him to step back and say, okay, I'm not a number one guy anymore, but if I play well enough, maybe another team would be interested in acquiring my services as a number one. I mean, we saw John Gibson get traded today. Like,
finally.
I mean, why wouldn't the Oilers go and try to make a deal for Korpisalo and see if they have something there? It can't be worse than what Stuart Skinner did.
Korpisalo for McDavid. Who says no?
For real.
But on the coaching staff thing, if I'm Chris Kelly and Jay Leach and I'm asking how short my leash is, like, you're grabbing onto your collar. Like, you have zero leash to screw up, to fuck up this year. And I'm with you on that one, Ace. I really had hoped that they would go full bore, clean slate. I will say the Steve Spott hire, after talking to someone who's extensively in tune with the Dallas Stars, worries me slightly.
Okay.
So he ran the power play in Dallas. He's basically been a DeBoer disciple for a decade now between San Jose, Vegas, and Dallas. When the power play runs great, it runs like clockwork. It can get very predictable. And they saw in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs, it just fell off a cliff.
Yep.
So that it kind of worries me that they didn't get someone who's like going to the Bruins had the 30th or 32nd or 31st ranked power play last year, and the Stars had either the 12th or the 16th or something like that. So it's an improvement, but it doesn't inspire the most confidence in like, oh my God, this is like the most prolific guy. He's going to solve all the power play issues. Hopefully that's where Sturm comes in, and maybe the Spot was hampered by DeBoer's system in ways that Sturm will let him flourish. But I'm not the most confident or the most inspired by the Spot hiring.
Yeah, how many teams can you name that can roll out a better number one power play unit than the Dallas Stars?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard sometimes to sit there and be like, oh, he had a huge impact on this, or he just has more talent than 26 other teams to work with on this.
I'd say 3, maybe 4 teams, and most of them are Western Conference teams. I'd say Colorado with McKinnon and Makar.
Edmonton, of course.
Edmonton with McDavid and Draisaitl. Carolina with Svechnikov and Aho.
Vegas?
I would say maybe Carolina, maybe Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas was my other one I was going to slot in there. If you had Eichel, Stone, Theodore.
Yeah.
I think it gets a slim pickings, like the Lightning, the Panthers, a little bit, but like at that point, you're kind of at a wash with that what Dallas has, and not to
Toronto, I would say Toronto a little bit as well. With like, I mean, if
yeah.
Marner's still there, although rumors has it that might be changing here shortly too.
Yeah. But we'll see what he can bring. It's just I understand the concern there big time, and the whole team became predictable, which maybe is more to your point of maybe he was hampered by DeBoer's system. But it is there's concern, but there should be concern with the coaching across the board right now. We should all have an eyebrow raised. There's nothing they're going to be able to fix in the first 2 months this season. If we're in February and things are still just awful, I'll be like, okay, we need to take a look at some of these guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that probably summarizes things. I'm cautiously optimistic on the hiring of Marco Sturm. I'm excited to have a former Bruin in here that has some experience from external sources. And for me, like Marco Sturm in his time as a Bruin, at his peak as a Bruin, that was like the pinnacle of my youth enjoying Boston Bruins days. Like that game 6 goal against Montreal, like that one is just permanently playing on replay in my like the recesses of my mind. And that's like I just remember I was at that game and it was one of the most like immaculate experiences I've ever had as a Bruins fan, and I've been there for quite a few games. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. Can't wait to see how he does. And also, eager to see some good power play results out of Steve Spott's unit. So
his other iconic goal is actually the reason I became a Bruins fan. That 2010 Winter Classic
Fenway,
overtime.
yeah.
Yeah.
So good. That picture is awesome too.
Oh, it's incredible.
I have it framed. I got to get him to sign it. I have it framed in my mail.
Well, yeah, now's your chance, right? And there's no reason not to be optimistic too. Like I know we're pointing out things that we're nervous about, but why not? I mean, everyone likes to, like Ace was saying earlier, the fan base loves to just be upset about so much. And you go, I'm just going to get excited about some of the young guys, maybe making a push, maybe making a jump. Like, just be excited about this. And that's it.
Absolutely.
So speaking about getting excited, I have been clamoring for the Boston Bruins to return to the 80s, 90s style jerseys without the bar on the top, the all white, the all black with the striping. The I don't know how I feel about how large the crest is on the front of the jersey, but overall, I'd say that with this new rebrand, I give them probably a solid 9.3 out of 10 on the execution of it. Like it's everything I ever wanted out of a Boston Bruins uniform. And I mean, what I want to know is why we changed it in the first place to go to this modern design. It looked so silly.
I can't say anything negative at all here. They're perfect. They're perfect to me. I love them. Exactly. Chef's kiss. Love, adore everything about them. I'm going to own 12 of them by the time I'm done. I'm so excited about these. They're so clean. There's nothing I like more than a clean, crisp sweater in it. They're perfect. They're perfect.
The crest, I think, is great on the front. The new shoulder patch with the Boston and the Bruins and the outline of the bear, absolutely gorgeous. I clamored for it towards the end of the centennial year. I said, please keep this model. Just change the sparkly gold to regular gold, and you'll have really happy fans, and you can move into a brand new era of Bruins hockey, your second 100 years, with a new identity. I don't know why it took them a gap year to do that, but I'm thrilled. It makes me feel like we actually have a little bit of a clean slate, like a fresh start in my mind.
Yeah.
100%.
Almost glad they didn't do it the previous year, right? Like, okay, we had our crater year. Now let's start building back up with the new look. Hopefully they leave it at this for like 10 years so my wallet can, survive.
My God.
Stop giving me new shit to buy.
I know. I do think it's really a kind of a cool concept. And I mean, I know this is how it was back then too, but technically different crests on the front for the home and away. So I mean, the home is, predominantly gold. And then the away has the nice black bee in the middle, but it contrasts really well on the white jersey. So, one thing that we haven't seen yet, I mean, in all the promo shots with McAvoy and David Pastrnak, they were all wearing the home jersey for obvious reasons, but we haven't seen them in their full away setup yet. And I'm very interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah. Very excited. God, it's so good. They're so good.
They're fabulous.
They're wicked nice.
I will say that there is precedent within the division for having two different crests, depending on whether you're home or away, on a jersey with the Florida Panthers. That
true.
their crest says Panthers when they're at home, and it says Florida when they're on the road. So there is precedent for a dual crest setup in this case. And the Bruins also, back in the 80s and 90s, had the dual crest setup. They did this already.
Yeah.
For the better part of 50 years when they had the similar concept. So it just feels like they're back home again.
Yep. And I mean, they're doing that same thing too with the shoulder patch, right? So when the Bruins are on the road, it says Boston, but when they're at home, it says Bruins on that shoulder bear. So that's really, and it's the same thing on, there's a little tag on the bottom that says Bruins if they're at home, and then Boston if they're away. So I do really kind of like that. And I think it's like a marketing tactic that they're doing just to try to, say, hey, this is the town we're from when you're on the road, and then you can represent the team name when you're at home. But yeah, super excited about this new uniform. The other one that I'm keeping my eyes out for, and it wouldn't surprise me if we start to hear rumors about it, especially from the aesthetics guys, is going to be that Stadium Series jersey. That's going to be coming out here soon. And I'm sure you guys are already well aware of this, but for those of you that are listening that aren't really familiar with the Stadium Series games, which makes sense because the Bruins have never been involved in one. The Bruins are always involved in the Winter Classic, which has that, quintessential classic hockey vibe. They try to do old school, concepts.
Is that right? We've never been in a Stadium Series?
Never been involved in a Stadium Series game. So if you weren't aware, it is crazy. It is crazy.
Because, I mean, we've had a bunch of Winter Classics, and, of course, we had, what did they call the Philly game off the lake?
Oh, it was like the outdoor classic or whatever.
Something like that. When Pasta just demolished them for funsies like he always does with Philly.
Yeah, with the Pit Viper glasses.
Oh, yeah. That was beautiful.
I'm going to bang my head against the wall for this because I was working for the NHL when we announced that endeavor. I was actually part of it. It was NHL Outdoors. That's what it was.
Okay.
I literally worked for the NHL. I remember getting an email survey from higher up saying, hey, if we were to do games outside, where would you want them to be? Like if pond hockey style. And I think a bunch of us put Lake Tahoe, a bunch of us put Lake Louise and Bam.
Lake Louise would be amazing.
Yeah. I want to do more. I want to see more of that because that was so awesome. Everything about that was so cool.
The NHL won't do it because they can't sell gate revenue.
Yeah, but now you added 2 more games to the season. Yeah. Well, that's still waiting to be approved fully, but I think it basically is.
It is. I mean, it needs to be ratified, but it is officially part of the new CBA. So I guess that's more news to talk about too. That the preseason's getting cut down from 6 to 8 games to 4 games max. If you are a veteran of 100 games or more, you have to play in 2 games max. And then they're taking that 2-game chunk away from the preseason and giving it to the regular season. So it's 84 regular season games now.
Yeah. Just going back to the Stadium Series thing real quick. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So if you don't know this, the Stadium Series uniforms are usually meant to be more like futuristic. So I don't know if you've recalled seeing any like the other teams that did it. They have the big blatant logos on the helmets, and they have like futuristic color schemes and stuff like that. Like I'm thinking like the Devils one that they did, it was all red and the font was just black. Like it was pretty crisp and pretty interesting. But what I'm thinking is from the designer's perspective, because the Bruins designers have always had that, oh, well, let's do like a classic vibe. Let's look at what, nods we can do to the legacy of the team. Having that future forward thinking mentality when designing a Bruins jersey, that's going to be pretty interesting to see. So I can't wait to see what that looks like.
I bet they're going to think of it as consideration for a third jersey as well. Mm-hmm. My guess, this is just my thought, we're going to get a lot of gold. We've got predominantly black in the home, predominantly white in the away. I bet we're going to get a predominantly gold jersey. I wonder even if to the point we're going to get gold, either matte or metallic buckets.
Oh yeah, that would be ridiculous.
I hate those so much.
Just keep in mind they're going to be on the road, so it's going to be a predominantly white jersey,
right?
As the away team,
unless they could color rush it. You never know.
They could. You're right. That's true. But yeah, so the new brand, like I said, 9.3 out of 10. Chef's kiss. I can't wait to spend way too much money on the sweaters.
God, they're so expensive now too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So what say you guys on talking about the NHL draft that just wrapped up today?
The first round was something. I'm very excited about it, but I mean, I streamed for 5 hours and didn't make it till the end. Like,
I was dog tired by the time they got to pick 20. We're sitting there at like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, like 3.5 hours and 4. And you're like, why is this taking forever? Why do we need to go to some random Zoom room with these guys?
I saw the take. I forget who posted it. One of the mouthpieces, but basically being like, the owners wanted this. It's not the NHL. You can't blame the NHL. First of all, it's the NHL's event. Like, I can blame the NHL. Secondly, it's not the decentralized. That's not the issue. The issue is after you made the pick, or sorry, before you make the pick, Bettman has to have his 45-second stand-up routine every single pick. Then he has to bring out some sort of special announcer for every single one. Keep it to the top 10 and then like the Gaudreau situations and stuff like that. That's totally acceptable. But for every single pick, and then after that, like you said, they got to go into this awkward little room. How are you feeling? Like, what is the kid supposed to say? I'm really excited. Can we like, and then after that, they still go to the couch and do another interview with them. And then they go back to the panel. And the clock only starts for the next pick once they finally go back to the panel.
Unless you're Roger McQueen, then you go to Disneyland.
Yeah, that was actually kind of sick, watching him in the helicopter. I was like, that's all right. That's really cool. But all the extra shit, it's not about it being decentralized. It's why are we doing all this random awkward stuff that you know you're bad at? Leave it alone. Make the pick. Go to the couch. Timer starts for the next. Do the little interview during the timer. You're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked.
Like NFL draft, 1,000%. You take away the fluff. Commissioner announces the pick. Come up, get your photo with the commissioner in the cool backdrop. Go to the couch. Bam, timer's already on.
Yeah.
How do you not have the technology working? That's my biggest thing.
Oh,
like,
no.
like we're gonna talk about the specific picks, but you bring the prospect up into the weird TV closet that's supposed to talk to the GMs.
TV closet.
That's what it is. It's a TV closet. You walk into a closet, you're surrounded by televisions, and that's like, and they can't even talk to the guy. Like, they just stare at you like they have some sort of issue going on upstairs. Oh my God.
It's somebody pointed out during the live stream, it's like the Hunger Games because they're lit from the back. So like you can't fully make them all out. And yeah, it was just an awful designers. I'm sure were losing their minds, just absolutely losing their minds at choices made across the board.
I saw someone on Twitter ask, did the Bruins auto pick because their internet dropped off?
Don Sweeney can't fuck up the draft if we don't let him. Auto pick, baby. All right, so let's talk. So before we go into the picks themselves, so last night I posted it on our socials, but I was at the official Boston Bruins draft party. That was at Banner's Kitchen and Tap, right next to TD Garden. That was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had as a Boston Bruins fan. So it's my first ever perk from being a season ticket holder, because now I'm officially one of those. I'm gonna pat myself on the back again.
Woo woo.
Get to pay the Jacobs family thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm so honored. But so I walk into this thing, and it is just. It's a large sports bar. If you didn't know that, just a giant sports bar, TVs everywhere. Everything was decked out with Boston Bruins stuff on it. But I get in there, and Bob Beers is in there just hanging out. So I got to sit down and chat with Bob Beers for like 10 minutes. But like you had mentioned, this draft is taking a long time. The doors opened at like 6:30. The draft is supposed to start at 7. The Schaefer pick didn't even happen until like 7:15, I think, 7:20.
Yeah.
And my brother and I are like, all right, well, we get free drink tickets. So like, we're going to start just drinking. By the time the Bruins were up, I was already tanked. Like, it was not a good situation. I was just hammered, dude. Like,
what did you have? Like, if you got there at 6:30, you had almost 2 hours of drinking before, because it took over an hour for the Bruins to pick, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got through 5 picks in an hour.
And we may or may not have pre-gamed before too. So like,
that'll help.
It was a rough one. So, but it was a really cool experience. You had Blades running around, and Marco Sturm came in and chatted with the season ticket holders briefly, gave a quick little speech. He said that same line that he said during the initial interview or during the initial press conference, where he's like, things are good when things are good, but when things are bad, we certainly hear that very, very well, loud and clear here in Boston. And he kind of had like an awkward laugh.
That's good stuff.
Oh, so that was a good time. And then, obviously when that pick finally happened, that number 7 pick, which we're going to talk about, that place erupted. Like
Nice.
everyone was so worried that they were going to fumble this. And I'm happy to say that I don't think he did. So the draft itself, what did you guys do? I think you said you had a live stream going.
Yeah, I was
Ian?
live streaming the whole time.
Nice. What about you, Jake? Where did you take the draft in?
Right here on the couch.
Nice. Sounds like you were probably the most comfortable out of the three of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. All right. So the Boston Bruins, they had quite a few picks this draft. But the most important one we're going to talk about in the first round is going to be number 7 overall. And Jake, I don't know if you want to break down kind of what the lay of the land was, who went 1 through 6, and kind of what options Boston was presented with when they finally were able to.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start off 101. That's Matt Schaefer. It was coming regardless. We knew that the Islanders were going to pick him. He's projected to be a phenomenal top line NHL defender, both two-way defender for a long time to come. So that was pretty much a given, which at this time last year certainly wasn't. So kudos to him for the way that he was able to really bring up his draft stock over the last year. Then the Islanders traded Noah Dobson to the Montreal Canadiens for picks 16 and 17 because the Habs had both. And then the Islanders, all day yesterday, people were sitting thinking the Islanders really want to move up to take someone. They want to move up into the top 5 to take someone pretty specific. Their thought was they were going to trade up with Utah. That's what by the time we got to into the draft, they were like, okay, the 16 and 17 is going to go to Utah for number 4. But we'll get there. In any case, number 2, San Jose, Michael Misa. Again, he's a top of the line scorer, supremely athletic, supremely competitive.
There were some rumors that Frondell might go too, but that didn't obviously happen.
Yeah, that's true. But I think Misa's a great pick for San Jose. Having a bigger guy like Misa next to a smaller guy like Celebrini, but both guys who score in very different ways, but pound the back of the net. They've got an incredible draft class between Celebrini, Will Smith, Misa, William Eklund. I'm so excited to see what the Sharks do over the next couple of years. They're a team on the rise.
For sure.
Draft some defensemen, Sharks.
Yeah, I know. Then Anton Frundell went number 3 to Chicago, which makes sense. Frundell, again, another big body, great guy. I think it's a great compliment to Connor Bedard in the same way Michael Misa is to Celebrini.
I'm not a scout or anything, but I think Frondell probably caps out as a middle 6 center. I don't see that top line potential out of him.
I didn't like him in the top 5. I thought that for the Blackhawks, it made sense because, again, you're hoping to get a complementary piece to a guy who's going to be a line driver for his entire career. And I think that's more of what he's going to end up being. It's an elite complementary piece. I think he has top line talent potential. But if he fell to the Bruins, I would have been pissed because I don't think he's a line driver. I think he's more of a very, very good complementary piece to a really high end one. But
but I think that's what Chicago needed in that moment.
Yeah, which takes some of the pressure off of their line drivers, honestly.
Exactly. Though I think Utah. So we get to number 4 at Utah, and all of a sudden it says the pick is in, and all the insiders are going, "Wait, Utah's not trading their pick to the Islanders for them to take who they want?" And a couple weeks ago, why can't I remember our guest's name, who we had an awesome draft episode with, Ace?
Yeah, now you're going to make me forget his name too, so that's cool.
Was it Chalmers? Did he jump on here? Or
No,
yes.
No, it was not Chalmers. Yeah. We have had Chalmers on before, but no, this was Sirius XM Hockey Prospect Radio. Jesus, this is great show right now.
I know. Sorry.
Either way, I'll keep going.
In any case, we get the pick is in. And we're like, wait, what? They're keeping that pick? And it's who our guest really liked if he had fallen to Boston.
Shane Malloy.
Thank you, Shane Malloy. Thank you.
Sorry, Shane. Sorry,
Shane. Shane was like, if this guy falls to Boston, he'd be a great pick. I just don't think he's going to fall. And it's a Caleb Denoye, who is apparently as competitive, as high hockey IQ, as pedigreed, as they come. Doesn't matter whether it's preseason, regular season, postseason. This guy is consistent. He scores. He's smart. He's clutch. It's a great pick for Utah. I really think Utah is a playoff team next year. Genuinely, I think they are making waves.
I loved NYA. I wanted that player. He would have been potentially. I would have picked him before Hagens. That's how much I just adored him. When Frondell was moving up the board, I was like, wait, holy crap! Someone might kind of get a steal for this guy because I think that there was reason to take NYA over Misa. That's how much I like that player. I had no real thoughts that he would make his way to 7 by any means, but his playoffs was also, it's always tricky when you have a guy who really launches himself up from 20 really great games at the end of the season, but they were really great games. The guy was dominant in the playoffs. So I think I'm with you. Utah, awesome for them.
Thinking about that club now with Denoye, Taja Ginla, Cole Bowden, Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, Lawson Krause. These guys have a stacked forward core. They just need a damn goaltender. And frankly, they're in great shape.
And it's funny because Ingram and Vejmelka go back and forth of having good seasons.
That's exactly.
Too bad they fumbled the rebrand as far as I'm concerned.
I like the logo, though.
I don't like that they're a away jersey.
The logo's a little NHL 25-y. I love the name.
I love the name. 100% agree. But and then the fact that they're a away jersey just says Utah on it. It doesn't even have the logo on the chest.
They took a page out of the Carolina playbook there.
Yeah, that's always a smart play.
In any case, we get to 5, and Nashville takes Brady Martin, who isn't even at the draft. He said before the draft, my parents need help on the farm. I don't give a crap about being at the draft. I'm going to go help my parents on their farm. But you know what? Kudos to him.
Yeah, love that shit.
I just think he was picked high.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the Barry Trotz, I wanted a grinder type of a guy, and that's who they really wanted. But I just think he was drafted too high for where he was. I bet I would have seen him more at 10, 11, 12 than at 5.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of reports coming out, at the combine and leading up to the draft, that Brady Martin was a guy that really moved the needle for a lot of those front offices. And it was rumored that the Bruins were one of those that were enthralled with the guy.
Yes, yeah.
So I know the Flyers were as well. So I don't know.
Speaking
I'm kind of happy that decision was taken out of the Boston Bruins.
Yes, I'm so with you on that.
And thank God also, too, because of what the Flyers did ahead of them. And they took Porter Martone, which, again,
also
they had a really
confusing
draft that they went really big and bulky, which kind of surprised me, especially because the Flyers also need center depth. They've got the same problem we do. So taking a winger in Martone kind of confused me.
Well, especially the Flyers had James Hagens out and touring their training facility and everything.
Right.
So with those reports and the fact that they were interested in him, I was like, they have to go Hagens here. They're gonna go Hagens, and they didn't, baby. They didn't.
I was sitting in a group chat, genuinely typing my friends, please don't take him. Please don't take him.
This was it felt like an owner pick. I know what our scouts say. I know what the GM says. I really want this guy.
Go get this guy.
I think it's really in reaction to the Zegras trade too. That they got Trevor Zegras. He's a slider guy. He's a phenomenal scorer. So it's like, okay, we need to. I guess we got to bulk then.
Yeah, I mean, you have Michkov and Zegras now, who are not, stereotypical Philadelphia Flyers. So
they're not really John Tortorella Flyers.
Oh, that's a good point.
But the problem is he's one of the worst skaters I've seen taken in the top 10 in a pretty significant time. He's not like a bad skater or anything, but he's certainly not that high level of a top 10 pick that you typically see. So I think that's the biggest concern there.
Fair enough. All right, well, before we break down the 7th overall pick, we're going to go ahead and send it over to our sponsors for a brief message, and we'll be right back. This season, the Two Pad Stack podcast is proudly supported by 2 fantastic local businesses. First, we're going to give a shout out to Earth Eagle Brewings, where great beer meets great company. With locations in both Portsmouth and Somersworth, New Hampshire, Earth Eagle is something for everybody. Whether you're relaxing in their Portsmouth beer garden or enjoying live music and trivia at the Somersworth pub, you'll be in good hands with their craft beers, epic hot dogs, and much more. And don't forget, if you're into brewing your own beer, their homebrew shop has you covered in Somersworth.
And when it comes to tattooing, there's no better place than Vital Ink Tattoo in Barrington, New Hampshire. The artists at Vital Ink are all about turning your ideas into tattoos you'll love forever. The team works hard to make sure every visit is comfortable, and their dedication to making your tattoo experience fun and relaxing is unmatched. Whether you're getting your first piece or adding to your collection, Vital Ink is the place to go. Special thanks to both of these sponsors for supporting the Two Pad Stack podcast this season. Be sure to check them out and show them some love.
All right, so without further ado, the Bruins are on the clock, and everyone that is of the black and gold faithful, I'm pretty sure I could hear their rear ends all clench. What is Don Sweeney going to do? Is it going to be 2015 all over again? Are we going to draft another Zach Senyshyn? Like, what are we going to do? The decision is made for you here. The guy that we wanted for a long time just fell into your lap. What are you going to do, Don Sweeney? And what did he do? He went out and he drafted James fucking Higgins. James Higgins is a fucking Boston Bruin. Are you kidding me? What was your initial reaction, Jake, when you saw that pick?
I think I screamed fuck yes, like as loudly as I Look, first off, I'll even backtrack to how the pick was announced. Total kudos to Adam Sandler for coming out as Happy Gilmore and announcing this. Unbeknownst to any of us that Happy Gilmore is James Higgins' favorite movie of all time. Like, absolutely baller. But still, when the draft lottery happened and we dropped to 7th, I was kicking myself. We weren't 5, we weren't 4. We were going to miss out on Higgins. We were going to miss out on Misi. We were like, okay, I'm resigned to Jake O'Brien, Roger McQueen, something of that sort.
Right.
And Higgins falls perfectly into your lap. And you actually do the damn thing. Don doesn't fuck it up. I'm here in Boston, and I know I've seen a lot of James Higgins. I've been, at BU games, but I'm around the college hockey scene a decent bit. And so I've seen James Higgins play. This kid is the real fucking deal. This kid can drive the offense. He's super smart. He keeps his head up. He is a bona fide number 1 projectable center. Straight up. I don't know why we haven't had this in the system for 5 years. Why we didn't think of this years ago. But this is someone who we can finally say this is a top line NHL center for years to come, like Logan Cooley, Jack Hughes type of center. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure because the Boston Bruins, they put out a video from the draft selection at the draft party, and I turned the volume up like when the pick was made because I'm pretty sure I screamed profanity in this party, and like I thought I was gonna be able to hear myself, but I didn't. Thankfully, like, we like to class it up here at Two Pad Stack. But it was funny, man. Just a crazy experience. When that pick was announced, like I'm just high-fiving people, fist bumping. I'm like, Sweeney didn't fuck it up. He didn't fuck it up. What about I wasn't able to watch your live stream because I was at the party, but how was the reaction in the chat there? Yeah.
Large majority loved it. There's a couple guys in there who were calling him a smurf and a midget and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, great. Be assholes about it. Sorry, I did not class it up there. I love the pick. Most of us love the pick. The guy came into the season as the considered number 1 overall pick for a reason. He went to a very good Boston College team. And then Jake, you tell me if you saw this, because a lot of the scouts that reported on this said the point totals are lower than you would have loved. It wasn't as dominant as a freshman season as you'd want. But what was the reason for that? Because most of what I saw was he was deferring to Leonard, who he had on his line. That was
both Leonard and Gabe Perreault. Yeah,
who are established NHL prospects who are about to make the leap, older than him, more seniority on the team. And he has the vision to get them to the puck and score in areas like, I don't know, it felt like he deferred more often to these guys. Is that what you also saw?
Yeah, I think so too. I also think, guys got used to his game. And so that's why he had to defer. And that's where his build maybe does come in a little bit. But, the league and the sport in general is starting to favor smaller forwards, guys who are slighter, lighter on their feet, great with their hands. And so he's going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And the problem is he was still a point-a-game player. It's not like he dropped off. Like,
Yeah,
he
as a
still ended up a
freshman.
point-a-game player as a freshman for the season. I think we also just got really spoiled from college hockey in the last couple of years from guys, especially like Macklin Celebrini, who put up insane one-and-done freshman seasons. Clayton Keller did the same thing. I think we got really spoiled. And so it's not that he had a bad season by far. He had a great season. It's just not even up to his level, which is hysterical to say that he still has more in his tank and could be a 1.5 a game player if he wanted to, and hopefully will be.
Yeah. And his resume before that is just absurd. This is the 1 year where you go, oh, he was only a point per game guy as a freshman at the college level.
Right.
What a loser. People are acting like he's 5'6", 150 pounds too. He's 5'11". He said at the draft that he's up to 190, and he's fast. He can absolutely go through you in a phone booth. Like, there's so much to love about his game, and his vision is nutty. Him and Pasta together. We're really hoping that Hagens is who we think he is, and I'm sure Pasta's hoping the same thing, because 2 years from now, if they could be on the same line, huge.
Oh my God, the chemistry! I like just the play styles are just they are the synergy would be through the roof.
A lot of passing though, back and forth.
Yeah, just put Geeky on the wing, and he's just one time every time that shows
Yeah.
up over them. But yeah, that's really interesting. I love the pick. I think that it's gonna be a slam dunk. But you mentioned in a couple seasons, so Hagens at the draft, he's straight up saying, "I want to play in the NHL as soon as I possibly can, and I think I'm ready." And I put on all this weight. Now I'm pretty sure I already know the answer for this, but do you sign James Hagens to his ELC and let him duke it out at camp, or would you be happier to see him go back for a sophomore season at BC? And I'll throw it over to Jake first.
No, you don't sign him. You got to go back to BC for another year and develop.
All right.
I think
and then you
I'm
sign the
there
ELC
too.
after that.
Yeah. He has to blow your mind at the development camp. He has to blow your mind. And you've already watched a ton of tape on this guy. Yeah. I think I'm with Jake, where the most 95% he's going to be going back to school and just lighting that league up.
He needs another year to like play into his new build. If he's up to 190, which is fantastic, he needs another year to learn how to play with that. You can't do that on the fly. As much as this team will, like this Bruins team will struggle this year, like unless Don Sweeney blows my socks off come Tuesday, you're like, like you could ostensibly develop him in the NHL and let him try. I just don't think that's the smartest move.
Yeah. Also, that's like you're saying, that's 13 pounds in what, 2.5 months? And I'm assuming it's like a healthy 13 pounds. That's a different body. That's a different body. I'm glad he's bulking up a little bit, though. I'm really excited about this pick, guys. If we really have a true number 1C, oh, massive, just massive.
It just slots everybody in that much better. I mean, having Elias Lindholm as a 2C instead of a 1C, like it creates matchup situations that put this team in a much more comfortable and a much better place. But to echo both of your sentiments, as much as I am very excited and I want to get this guy in a Boston Bruins uniform as soon as fucking possible, it probably would be best. And I do think that Don Sweeney kind of poured a little bit of cold water on Hagens' comments about playing in the NHL as soon as possible, and Sweeney's like, well, let's not rush anything here. Like let's evaluate what's best for him, and we'll see where he's at when he comes in at development camp. And yeah, I would say that it's probably the most likely result is that he'll go ahead and return to BC, which is now unofficially known as Bruins College.
Yeah, we have, what is that now? So Jelvik, Letourneau, Hagens, second round pick
William Moore. Yep.
Yeah. I'm missing somebody who's also still there.
Gasso.
Yeah, Gasso. Yeah.
Gasso has another year. Yeah. So we're literally gonna have 5 or 6 guys on that team.
Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah. I want to see what happens with Letourneau this year. Like,
this is a year that he needs to show significant growth, I think. We knew the first year was going to be gross. Not this gross, but...
I'll give credit to the front office for saying, yeah, we fucked up. He should have gone back to the USHL for a year.
Yeah.
That was
quick thing I want to say about James Hagens before we move on.
Yeah.
His NTDP points record for a single season, he sits tied for 8th. Just listen to the only players that are above him. Patrick Kane, Cole Iserman, who's been lighting up at BU, Clayton Keller, Jack Hughes, Austin Matthews, Will Smith, and Gabe Perreault. Like guys who are established NHL phenoms or are primed to be.
Good company to have.
Good company.
Extremely. Granted, you go a little further down on that list and you see Oliver Wahlstrom and you go, ah, shit.
Thanks for that.
Mini 101 legend Oliver Wahlstrom.
I was so sick of that friggin' highlight. I think we all were.
Yeah.
Look what he
dear
did when he
me.
was 6 years old. Okay, can he play hockey at the NHL level now?
No.
Okay, well.
So what so obviously the Hagen's pick is done. We're all ecstatic that James Hagen is a Boston Bruin and really looking forward to see what happens with his career. But it wasn't that. I mean, they weren't done with that. I mean, the Bruins went on to select, which is, I also think it's very interesting. Every single player that they selected is a left shot, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Every single one of them is a left shot, not one
You
right
are
shot.
correct. Yeah.
Not one right shot in the whole selection pool that they made. But so second pick the Bruins have is 51, and that is that was the acquisition from that was the Trent Frederick deal.
Bingo.
So it gave them that pick. And the Bruins decide, hey, let's bolster our center depth even more with the kid that's also going to Boston College and William Moore. And I think I saw something that like he was ranked like from consolidated, scouting around 31, and the Bruins got him at 51.
Depending on who you trust, there's profiles that ranked him in the mid-20s, and there's some that ranked him in the mid-90s. There's a huge range on this kid.
The skill seems to be there. He's speedy. He's flashy. He absolutely can, put the puck in the back of the net. He's a great two-way player. It's just he has an inability to drive play sometimes. And so that's the development that Greg Brown and BC is going to need to get out of him is can he drive a line on his own?
Yeah, he's also got to bulk up on that frame of his too. Like he's like a beanpole.
6'3", 181 is slight.
Yeah, I have certain concerns with this pick. A lot of it is about his compete level. A lot of the scouting reports I saw were he just disappears for huge portions of the game. Not super physical, like you mentioned, although he can shield. It's funny. I've watched some highlights. He shields the puck well, unless a player gets really physical with him, and then they can just knock him down. Which at the NHL level, obviously, that's every time. The one thing that I did find, a tidbit that I was really interested in. So he played for the U.S. national U18 team last year. And that team's coach got absolutely demolished by scouts. Greg Moore, under him, like every player that's been playing under him, they're all saying like everyone stagnates or gets worse when you're under this coach. And they're just crushing the guy. All of their notes are just crushing this guy. And so I'm sitting there going like, okay, great. Let's see what this kid is when he's away from this guy. I know that's kind of a long shot of something, but I kind of like to have that information of, hey, his team doesn't perform well. Maybe it's not always the player's fault that he doesn't have a ton of energy for this when maybe the vibes are way off.
He's going into a situation that is perfect to showcase whether that's true or not. BC Hockey East in general is one of the most insane conferences in Hockey East. Probably, I'd say the most competitive. Not to diss the NCHC or the ECHL, whatever, like ECAC. I think Hockey East is by far the most competitive between the Beanpot, between just the intense rivalry these schools have. Playing BU, playing Northeastern. Northeastern plays the most physical game I have ever seen at the youth/college level. They will bully the crap out of you. I think Moore and Hagen's in general, just the both of them are going into prime situations for them to show off what they're truly made of. Show us what your ceilings are against extremely tough competition.
Yeah, and if you're not giving effort, which is something I just mentioned, then you're not going to find ice time. Like, so you're going to find out real quick with this kid if he's showing up to camp ready to go.
Also, William Moore, great piano player.
Yeah.
Well,
Carnegie Hall at 10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Playing Carnegie Hall. Incredible. Won the Little Mozart's International Competition.
Yeah. I love a smart player. I've got concerns, but I love a smart player.
And then next up, also a second round pick. So we're gonna put a little button on a little bow on the BC boys that are going to be in Boston next week for development camp. And Don Sweeney and the Boston Bruins staff, mainly PJ Axelson, loves to dip into Sweden for the prospect pool. And they did that again. Liam Pettersson, a defenseman, 6'2", 170 pounds at pick 61. A lot of scouting reports that I was reading had him as a rangy, very creative puck-moving defenseman. So very, very good offensive tools in the toolbox there. Gonna be a bit of a project on the defensive side of the game. So he's not very good at zone entries, denials, and body positioning in the defensive zone, but he's got it cooking right now on offense. So I kind of wonder how much of his game is maybe somewhat in the style like a Mason Lohrei. But I think that there's definitely some upside here as a maybe top 4 defenseman at the NHL level if they can round out the defensive side of his game.
You pulled the words right out of my mouth, Ace. And we missed the news that Mason Lohrei signed a 2-year extension with the club. But no, we're not going to talk a ton about roster building. That Mason Lohrei is the Boston Bruin for another 2 years. Good for him. A little bridge contract, get you through the expanding cap. But yeah, Pettersson definitely projects to me as a Lohrei type player, which maybe that's more of what the Bruins need nowadays. I think, we go back and we look at guys when we drafted like Urho Vakanainen and Jakob Zabor, you go for really greedy type and defensively strong type defenders. Maybe you swing the other way and you can develop better that way.
Although I would say the Bruins kind of did nail that Ryan Lindgren pick, even though we didn't get to keep him.
True. That's true.
He developed into exactly what they were looking for. So,
yeah.
Which he's a pending UFA. Once again, no roster building, but maybe that's a conversation for later. So yeah. And what were your thoughts on the Pettersson pick, Ian?
So he actually fits a mold of this draft where they were going kind of outside the board. I know that the Athletic had him in the mid 70s, but there's a lot of kind of negative talk about what his ceiling truly is. Third pairing, a lot of people kind of think he's a third pairing at best.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where his upside is there, particularly offensively. The IQ isn't graded out super well, like his decision making. He's going to have some tough turnovers, but I have no problem with a project guy, 6'2", 170, 180 pounds, left shot defenseman. Like, we need kind of more of that in the system anyway. And if they like the player, I'm not seeing a lot of positivity about it, but I like to kind of give some time on this. And then obviously the development camp helps me kind of see a few more things where I go, oh, I kind of see what they were talking about. It felt like a weird pick at the time to me, but certainly not one to get upset about.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree with that. And I think like going into this draft, I was like, the Bruins need to just prioritize offensive firepower. And I guess that this is still a little bit of that, but from the blue line, because, in a modern NHL roster, you need to be able to generate offense from the blue line as well. But I would have liked to have seen like a winger there, maybe, with that draft pick. But hey,
we'll get there. Just wait till
I'm gonna give
pick.
him. Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see how he does at Dev Camp. He's one of those guys that I'm going to be really kind of keeping an eye out. Well, I would love to if I was there. I'll have Jake keep an eye out for me. So then, any closing thoughts on Liam Pettersson, number 61 overall, guys?
All right, moving on.
Third round, and this is going to be a fun pick to talk about. So third round, 79th overall via Montreal. So the Bruins ended up trading down. And Ty Anderson tweeted out that he thinks that this is the first trade between the Bruins and Montreal in about 24 years, by the way.
I believe it.
So Boston trades down and still goes out at 79, and we draft a winger named Cooper Simpson, straight out of Minnesota high school hockey. He is committed. I believe he's playing in the USHL next year. Is that correct? Or is he going to college? I can't.
No, he's going to
North Dakota.
Yeah, with Will Zellers.
With fellow Bruins prospect Will Zellers.
A great point. Yeah. So the initial thoughts from what I had heard on Cooper Simpson, like the stat line was ridiculous. Like
a goal and a half per game.
Goal and a half per game. That's
per game. I think it was 49 goals in 31 games, something like that.
You got it.
Yeah.
This kid just fills the net. And he is a left winger. So like I would have liked maybe another guy with this type of model or mold in the draft, but I'm not going to complain of this pick. I think he was rated pretty highly by some scouts as well. I think I saw
gives
like
comparisons
top 40.
to Jimmy Snuggerud of the St. Louis Blues, which, having watched Jimmy at University of Minnesota, that guy has a great frame and uses it to his advantage. He gets in those dirty areas. He's got great hands to put the puck in the back of the net, but it's because he uses his frame so well. And this kid's he's got some size on him for being 6 foot. He's 6 foot 180. So if he can keep playing into his frame, I think it's a really interesting pick.
Yeah, one of the scouts actually said he was fascinated by how many teams actually didn't have this guy on their board at all, because he is, in this guy's words, he's top 6 or he's a bust. He's graded as one of the better snipers in the class. Like, he's one of those guys who, if you give him too much space, he'll beat your goaltender from distance. But if you try to close the gap, he's going to embarrass you with the puck and go around you. The problem is we're talking about high school numbers here, because his skating doesn't grade out well. And they're worried about his ability to continue making those plays when the skating in front of him gets better. He can embarrass you with the puck all he wants, but if he can't skate past you, it doesn't actually matter. So it's truly how much can he advance in that regard, and how much can he actually play with teammates? He's a dominant puck holder. And again, we're talking high school levels. So that's what a lot of these star players were at that point, because they want to win games. You're scoring 1.5 goals per game. The coach is like, yeah, you do whatever you want to do out there, bud.
Put the puck on Cooper's stick. Give it to Cooper.
So it's like you pass to the Spanish kid in soccer, like let him go do his thing. I genuinely don't worry too much about his ability to mold into a team at the next levels, because every player has to do this. I worry about his skating a little bit, but this is easily the most entertaining pick of the draft as far as who you're going to follow that isn't a first rounder, right? Like, Hagens is going to be a better player than this guy. You're more excited about him, but I think you could be a year or two down the road going, wait, holy shit, Simpson had how many goals at North Dakota? I'm excited. I think this could be a really fun pick. You could never hear his name again. I don't know. Like, it's a lot of variance.
Speaking of never hear his name again, or never heard of his name in the first place, round 4, pick 100, the big number 100 centennial pick here. Vasek Blanner, defenseman, 6'4", 183 pounds. This guy sounds like he's a mutant. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I guess he's I mean, there's not a lot of info on him.
I know next to nothing about the guy. I know next to nothing.
I got y'all covered here.
Excellent. Jake, it's your show, buddy.
Yeah.
There you go. He's apparently a really tough defenseman with offensive skills. That's the one thing I heard. I'll talk about this when we wrap up, but offensive skills is the word I've heard so much about every single pick that the Bruins had this year, which feels like a rarity. But in any case, sounds like a much tougher defenseman than Pettersson is, but still really raw, still really young, hasn't been on the national team. Some NHL teams had some interest, but it was definitely a leap of faith.
Yeah. Weird how high he goes here. If you look up Vasek Richards on Elite Prospect, you'll find him. For some reason, it's under a different name. I don't know if he changes. I'm not sure.
I think he changed his name. Yeah.
A lot of penalty minutes last season. Sweden, right? I think he played Sweden.
I think so.
Yeah, that's basically all I've got. 21 points in 38 games played. I'm really excited to watch him at the dev camp, because I am pretty blank on this. I don't have a lot of info.
He's a big kid. Again, a beanpole, 6'4", 183.
Yeah. Gotta love that leverage, though.
Yeah.
Get that shot from the blue line.
Exactly.
I was kind of surprised, and I know we're not wrapping up yet, but I really thought that the Bruins would have added another goalie in this draft too.
Yes. Yeah. I thought so too.
And they didn't go that route. They how many centers did we draft? 4 centers, 2 defense, and a winger.
I mean, inarguably, though, center was like our biggest organizational mishap there. Like, we had such a gap in center depth.
What's funny is organizationally, we have like 14 centers. It's just how many are actually making the NHL.
Exactly.
Right. But how many of them are being trotted out as wingers too?
We do have 6 third-line centers on the team right now, though. So
We
that's
do.
cool.
Yeah.
We can do 2 third lines.
Yeah,
With
great.
centers.
It's basically what we did last year.
Exactly. Round 5, pick 133. Let's add another center. And they add Cole Chandler, 6'2", 176 pounds. Do you have a scouting report on him, Jake?
Yes, sir. He's smart. He's kind of defense first, can flash higher level playmaking, but he's not necessarily the most dynamic player. It started to come in towards the end of his season last year in Shawinigan. If he definitely has a couple more steps to take, but this is also from EP Elite Prospects. There's a lot of subtle skills in his game: proactive contact, quick reads and reactions on loose pucks and pass receptions, slip passes through pressure, moves the puck quickly, positions himself well, and is reliable on both sides of the ice. So it sounds like he needs to work on being more dynamic offensively, but I'll take a responsible, true two-way center any day.
Yeah, man, we could use like PK specialists, that type of stuff down the road. I mean, I'll take another Chris Kelly or Daniel Paillet or something like that for sure. One that you can develop in house and keep the costs lower. That's something I'm all for. So
Yeah,
I like that.
for sure.
What about
Definitely
you,
grades out as potentially a 4th-line shutdown guy. But Jake nailed it with the quick reads. He just gets the puck off his stick wicked fast. He doesn't give anyone time to like react to it. He knows where he's moving the puck as soon as he gets it, which is a talent in itself. But like Jake already said, you can't be a dynamic offensive creator if you just pass the second you receive it. We'll see if that ever develops. But if he turns into a 4th-line shutdown guy for a few years, I mean, there's definitely value in that.
And he's a 5th-round player, right? I mean, how many of those actually pan out and be NHL players at all anyways, right? Like 5%, 10, like maybe something like that. So it's a good little, another dart to throw, and we'll see how it works out. And we'll keep our eyes out for Cole Chandler at development camp. And then the Bruins, for the first time in quite a while, with their final pick of the draft, round 6, pick 165, they pick up Kirill Yemelyanov, a Russian center, 170 pounds, 6 feet even. When's the last time we drafted a Russian? Was it like Roman Bychov or whatever, like from like 6 years ago? That guy never panned out for us, but we never draft Russian.
Good poll,
I keep
by the
thinking
way.
of Coco. Man, that makes me feel so old thinking about Coco and how long that was.
Oh my God, Koklachev, yeah.
Yeah, that's another good poll. I couldn't even bring up a name here. I don't remember.
Yeah. You're like Samsonov?
Yeah, great work, boys.
What's the scouting report for Kirill there, Jake?
I'm genuinely really excited for Kirill Yemelyanov. He is apparently nasty to play against. Supremely physical, annoying two-way center who has a ton of offensive flash. Really highly rated Russian up-and-coming center. About to make his debut in the KHL, possibly. Strong motor, advanced defensive habits. He could be that bottom 6 guy that is a pain in the ass to play against. It really kind of sparks me up. Like, that's a really fascinating pick, because the one thing, he won the damn Conn Smythe. You need an annoying ass guy to play against, and Sam Bennett was so fucking annoying to play against. If you can develop Yemelyanov into that guy, you're like, fuck, I hate when he's on the ice when you're an opponent.
That sounds
He's
like a really
got that as a young kid. That'd be phenomenal to develop out of him.
Sounds like a really positive scouting report, and I wonder if he just slipped this late because of the Russian factor and the fact that he's already playing in the KHL. I mean, you've seen it many times that these players probably could have gone earlier, but there's that trepidation of saying, oh well, maybe he's just going to stay home in Russia and play in the KHL, and I really don't want to be bothered with having to dangle a carrot to try to incentivize him to come over and play in North America. But hey, I mean, when it's in the 6th round, that's when you take these risks, man. Like that is absolutely the right time slot in the draft to go out and go after a guy like that. So
he was ranked anywhere between like the 60s and the 200s as far as draft goes. He was as high as 67 and as low as 208 as far as where his draft goes. So very mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, that's when you just trust your scouts and say, is this the guy? All right, let's go get him. So,
Yep.
what were your thoughts on that pick, Ian?
I really like it. I mean, Jake does such a good job summarizing these guys, but my favorite thing about him is the off the puck movement. Like he is dynamic. He flashes that skill, but take the puck away from him, the same level of motion, aggressiveness, like a Sam Bennett type, where you can't take your eye off of him. You have to be aware of where he's at because he's going to make an impact, whether that be physically or once he opens up and gets a chance with the puck. And you don't want it to be physically. You don't want to turn around and be like, oh shit, hello, there you are. Also, kind of fun thing about this, in the MHL last year, he has 23 points in 35 games, and then the playoffs start, and he goes 8 points in 8 games. Playoff performer, you like to see it, you know?
You like to see that for sure. All right, well, we're already over time. We try to keep our episodes right to an hour, but there was a lot to go through here, guys. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and kind of put a bow on this one here. It was a fun conversation to have. Awesome draft for the Bruins. I give it probably, well, I'll go around the room. What would you give the Boston Bruins in their draft performance this weekend, Jake?
I'd give him an A-. I think the Higgins pick, thank God, was a slam dunk and they actually took it. I think the big buzzword that Bradley Nadeau said at his presser today was high offensive upside and high skill upside, which is something that the Bruins haven't focused on in a while. That they're not looking for two-way. They're not looking for necessarily the most defensively responsible. They're looking for creativity and skill. Exactly. You know, will some of these picks pan out? Who the hell knows? Am I head scratching one or two of them? Maybe. But I think overall, I think they pick guys who enhance the system more than detract from it. So I'll give them an A-. I think they did really well.
Ian?
I would also say A- largely because Higgins forces you into that territory. And you did a little bit luck into Higgins, but also, we made the pick. I can't take anything away from them. I think they made some really big swings with a couple of these guys. Just in general, some guys that you might have been able to get much later. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's nothing to really dislike here. An A+ would have had us walking away with one more that I truly was like, this guy's going to be impact. That's hard to do when you have 1 first rounder and then 2 late second rounders. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to. I was originally thinking A-, but I'm not going to do that because you guys both did A-. So I'm gonna go A, just because that Higgins pick just buoys you to where you need to be. And I do like I really think that Cooper Simpson pick has the potential of really moving the needle as well, and being an impact guy in the top 6 that I'm really excited about. So I like it. I would have liked to have a goalie. That if you added a goalie there, I probably would have given it an A+, just because. I mean, there was a lot of rumors that teams are calling on Jeremy Swayman, and if he has another stinker of a year, who do you have in the pipeline? It sounds like Michael DiPietro is on the way out, and a bunch of teams are interested in him. So I definitely would have liked to have had a goalie added to the pipeline there, but hey, it's neither here nor there. So I'll go A for my draft grade, and I want to just thank both of you again. Jake, thanks for coming on again, and glad to be chatting about Boston Bruins hockey with you again. And Ian, it's really glad. I'm stoked to have you on again, buddy. Really appreciate your time. And guys, make sure if you haven't followed his content over on YouTube, go ahead and do that. Ian, where can they find you?
They can find me at Low Quality Bruins Fan on YouTube, and then Bruins Low on Twitter. But obviously, the YouTube's more fun. The Twitter's such a mess right now.
Such a shit show.
People get so upset about everything, and it gets painful. But thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure to talk to both of you. And Jake, hell of a breakdown for these draft picks, man. Great job on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, on behalf of the Two Pad Stack, thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We appreciate your listenership. As always, feel free to chime in on social media, drop us questions, anything that you want us to touch on our next episode. Our next episode will be happening much sooner than what we went from the last 2. So Jake will be with Nick Lanciani from the Goalie Hug podcast, and he'll be joining us. And we're going to be recording live from Warrior Ice Arena. Well, you're not going to listen to us live, but we're going to be recording at Dev Camp at a season ticket holder event for the Boston Bruins. We're going to have a wonderful interview with Teddy Donato as well on that episode. So stay tuned for some really awesome Dev Camp content for us. That's going to be coming out this week during the first week of July. So, but yeah, on behalf of everyone here at Two Pad Stack, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.